Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Live here, and I have played even more flippin' Switch 2 games. Yeah, it says we in the title, but it's all down to Muggins here. So I don't know why these other two people are here. It's Felix and Xeon.
Well, we're here to ask you all the deeds.
You played it again, Felix.
Yeah, this is
You
getting
know what we need to do. You know what we need to do. We need to ask him questions.
Yes, these two are here to grill me about my time playing, and I played 3 games that I know that you haven't played on Switch 2.
I've not played any games on Switch 2, Alex.
Where were you when you played the Switch 2 for the second time, Alex?
I was at
Unacceptable.
I was at a Sega event, and I played a grand total of 3 Sega games, unsurprisingly. I played Yakuza 0, I played Raido, and the rest of the title that's just fallen out of my head.
Mastered. And the Soulless Army.
It is Soulless Army.
Mystery.
Okay, I was
Mystery of
thinking
the Soulless
Soulless Army. That's not right, but okay. I wasn't as terrible as I thought. And of course, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S. So, we're going to start with Yakuza 0, because that's the one that I played for the most, bar none. So please, throw your questions in my face.
How long did you get to play?
I played for about 2 hours.
Whoa.
Give or take.
Awesome.
That included the single player and the multiplayer that I played as well, the new multiplayer.
And you've only played, is it Yakuza Kiwami on Switch, right?
That's the only one I've played, yeah.
Yeah, I was
Cool.
going to ask.
I've not played much either, but yeah, go ahead, Felix.
I was going to ask, if you felt the difference was very significant from the... I know it's not the same game, but it was Yakuza on Switch.
Well, suffice it to say, it runs a heck of a lot better, to say the least, which is not surprising, but it is also very good. So I think Yakuza Kiwami looked pretty decent on Switch. Not amazing or anything like that, but, for the Switch, I thought it was a pretty damn good port. This Yakuza 0 is running at it's much crisper, much higher resolution, and it's 60 FPS across the board. I did see a few dips, but that was usually... I think that was only in the multiplayer, and only when, loading a new challenge, it was doing this camera pan, and maybe it was more stutter than frame drops, if that makes any sense. More like a loading thing. Oh, that's something I gotta talk about. The loading is so fast.
Oh, really?
It is so fast. I don't have any numbers for you, I'm afraid, because I forgot to write anything down. But it is ridiculously fast in all the loading screens. And it was just so refreshing to just pick up a game, and go and load a new area. And it's just, it's not loading anything massive, but it's just done. It's so fast. So fast. It was so nice, honestly. The Switch 1 really showing its age by doing that. It's just so zippy.
I'm playing Pikmin 4 right now, and even though it's not low, it's just you kind of forget those load times when you play a lot on the PlayStation. And
yeah. I think it does have a bit of... I don't want to get into specifics because I don't know, but I do think that it's going to have a little bit of an edge over something like the PS5, because although, PS5 way more powerful, more bandwidth, the Switch 2 is loading smaller textures. And, it's not loaded, lower quality assets. So it's actually loading... it's got the microSD Express and the built-in storage as well, which is presumably at the same speed, which is kind of approaching NVMe speeds. And so you're going to be, it's going to have potential. It's going to have potential.
Yeah, I was going to ask if we had any data or anything, or concrete evidence on what type of storage was in the Switch 2 yet, but I'm at least glad to hear that things are snappy.
They are, yeah. But anyway, more about Yakuza.
So you said there's a multiplayer mode. I've never played Yakuza 0 before. Everyone always says that it's often one of their favorites. Most of the core fan base seems to speak really highly about it. But yeah, I've never heard anything about multiplayer. Have you heard? Is this new?
Well, yes, the multiplayer is new to this version. It's called Red Light Raid, and it is essentially. How to put this? It's you just go up against a load of enemies in an area, in sort of like a enclosed, a little bit like when you run into those random encounters in the main game, you know, sort of you just run into some goons and they're like, hey, you, and they go and try and beat you up and then you beat them up, you know. Only this is obviously multiple people all doing it, up to 4 people. And you can have CPUs in there as well. And you just wail on like up to like 20 people at once, and more will spawn, and then there'll be boss enemies and stuff like that. The main appeal is that you can play as multiple different characters. You don't just play as the main 2 chaps.
Sure.
Whose names have fallen out of my head?
Kiryu and
Miyajima. Miyajima?
Yeah. I've heard people say Majima.
I think it might be Majima. Majima.
People love him. So being
he's
able
great
to play,
fun. He's great fun,
in multiplayer.
Although I must admit, Matt Mercer's voice acting more subdued than I expected compared to the Japanese.
Really? So Matt Mercer, is that Ganondorf?
Yeah.
Or am I thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So voice acting, I've heard, is also new for this director's cut. Like, did you get to experience much of that?
Well, I had headphones on. I got to listen to all the voice acting. It seems solid. It did feel, considering, even though I'm not like super familiar with the Yakuza series, I've played Kiwami and I just got so used to the Japanese dialogue. I'd also just come back from Japan, so it just all felt very normal. And so I loaded this game up, and to hear English was just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But it's good, yeah. There is, not everything has been translated. I've noticed some of the NPCs, you know, when they have the sort of, the lines of dialogue where they're just sort of going like, now then, or well, or whoa. When they're saying a lot more, just, you know, it's not fully voice acted. Some of those are still in Japanese, I noticed, for some NPCs. There was another thing that I do want to mention very quickly that I got to test out with when playing Yakuza, and that's I was able to detach the controllers and walk away.
I was actually going to ask,
I ran out the building with the Joy-Con and I wanted to test the signal strength of the Joy-Con, and I can't get into like any specifics because I haven't been able to test it in like pristine conditions or anything like that. But I'll tell you what happened to me. I managed to get about 4 meters away before I hit a wall. 4 meters away from the console, with the Joy-Con separated, so not on the connector thing or anything like that. In a room with at least like 6 other Switch 2s on with the wireless Joy-Con. So that's a pair each. So a lot of signals flying around. Also the Wi-Fi on each device. 4 meters away, I had the Joy-Con behind my back, and it was faultless.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Now that's
I was so pleased. I really pushed it. 0 disruption. Maybe I got a minor stutter, but I was quite far away from the screen at this point. So it wasn't absolutely easy. You know, it wasn't dead easy to tell, but I was doing like running around in circles and going through menus and stuff like that. Huge improvement. Huge.
As an American, of course we use meters here, but not often. So I just had to look, and about 13 feet.
Yeah.
For any of you.
Oh, and this is a room with like a metal ceiling as well. And I don't know whether that would be a good thing or a bad thing. My gut says bad.
Apparently, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, that is, I think, still was one of my biggest worries, because I love the feeling of the Joy-Con, and like not being able to play them appropriately on the couch was such a pain.
I loved. I had them detached for big chunks, and I liked the like Joy-Con 1 detached, just one in each hand. It's even better with the Joy-Con 2. It is just delightful.
Were the demoists, were they worried when you did that? Were they like all eyes on Alex, or were they very like trusting and like, yep, no, he's cool?
I don't know, to be honest. I think they just sort of went, it's Alex, you know.
Sure.
Was there any other thing that you felt they upgraded? Maybe not with the game, but like the system itself. Now that you got to try some hands-on with it, I heard that you could assign you could go to when you hold down the home button and stuff like that. You could actually do something there.
I did manage to set the GL and GR buttons, because on the Joy-Con grip that I was using, it was the charging one which has the GL and GR buttons. I didn't test absolutely everything, but you can assign, as far as I can tell, any button to it. You can assign the home menu to it. You can assign the capture button. I ended up taking like in fact, actually, I can talk about capture. I ended up assigning the capture button to both GL and GR. I got like 20 screenshots because I was just going. That was what we call fun in the game.
It is actually nice to have it in an intuitive play for screenshots.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I suppose even if you want to reassign the home button to something else, then maybe theoretically that would work too. I'm not sure. I think
so. That would be in the system though. This was the sort of quick menu, which is just for the GL and GR.
Cool. Okay.
But you can do video capture on Switch 2, which is not surprising. It has been improved though. Obviously, there may be some options I'm not familiar with, but what I was able to do, press and hold, 1080p, 30 frames a second, H.264, which isn't ideal, and variable bitrate. I think it peaked at about 13.5 megabits per second, which isn't great, don't get me wrong, but it is an improvement. It's not as much as I would like. I would like it to be higher quality, but oh my god, did it save quickly. You do a recording, it's just like, bip, bidding.
I really hope there's settings for that, because still 30 frames per second. And it was also, when you did it, it was like 30 seconds as well.
Yeah, it's 30-second clips still, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't like that. That's really a shame.
Yeah, I really like, I was just playing some Fortnite last night, and like me and my girlfriend, she got like this super cool kill. And I went in and just held the button, and it's great how it lets you go from 30 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes,
30 minutes
or whatever.
Oh, you can just record gameplay on it, like just natively, which is really. I'd hope for something along the lines where at least you could decide how long you wanted the recording to be, and stuff like that. We'll see. But it doesn't give me a lot of hope.
I don't know. I wasn't allowed to go to the home menu or anything like that, unfortunately. That was a big no-no.
I'm glad you can say that it was at least like a little bit of an improvement, though, and that you're happy with it, right? Because I know that like visuals and that means a lot to you. So
yeah, I mean, there's still obviously, those bit rates, variable bit rate peaking at 13.5. It's not amazing, and it would have been nice if instead of AVC, it was HEVC, which is like H.265. Or VP9, as it is on the PS5, I believe. Because you'd be able to get more bang for your buck. So that would be nice, but at the end of the day, I've seen the quality of what a lot of people upload to social media, and it's not good. So I imagine the majority of people will be perfectly happy with this.
Yeah. Elgato's not going out of business, you're saying, with this.
No, they've still got some life in them yet. I also managed to get a go, and unfortunately it was quite a brief go because it's mainly my fault. I didn't give myself enough time, and I didn't have much of an introduction to Raido, which I wasn't super familiar with. I managed to have a bit of a go. Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to capture it, but it was. I will answer any question I can.
So I've never played Raido at all. I know it was like originally a PlayStation 2 game, and it was they were quite rare, if I remember correctly, in the US here. But so this is like a real-time combat game? Is that right? It's not turn-based?
Yeah, it's nothing like exceptional. I suppose in some ways, because it's kind of cooldown based. If you ignore the auto attack, it's a little bit Xenoblade, just to give you an idea. So it's not like you're using the same attack. There are cooldowns and stuff like that, so you can't spam. You can do sort of special elemental moves like ice and fire, as well as some sword attacks. And it seems fine, fair enough. I didn't get that much time with it, and a lot of the combat that I did was very easy. I don't know whether it's the settings or just the point of the game that I was in.
Sure. What area were you in? Were you in the city, or were you stuck in a dungeon or a house or something? Or
it was the city. Yeah, it was. Honestly, it really reminded me of Kurashiki, which is a town in Japan. Not extensively, but there was just I think it was as much as anything. It's quite. I think it takes place in the past. Pretty damn sure.
Okay.
You got a cat who has a pen.
That it must say. Oh.
I mean everything.
There's a cat with a pen.
There was a cat. It's in the past, guys.
The cat with a weirdly deep voice. It was quite imposing. But that was good fun.
Did this have English voice acting too, or was it?
Japanese,
yeah.
There's English here as well. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Was I think the only big question that I have too is the city. Did you get to explore it much? Is it because from the trailer it looks quite large. It reminded me a bit of exploring in Persona 5 almost.
Yeah, it's not dissimilar to that. I don't know how much was unlocked, but it seemed reasonably expansive. And you do go between different sections. It's not open or anything like that. You go between different sections like Persona 5. So you'll exit an area and then it'll say, where do you want to go? And you can choose.
And how is the load time, sir?
Very quick again, which shouldn't be surprising because a lot of the main models in the game, so Raido and the cat who I don't know the name of, it didn't come up in my time, unfortunately. And, sort of the main enemy, well, not all the enemies, but the main characters, very nicely rendered. A lot of the NPCs do look quite chunky, to say the least. Let's just say, it's not surprising that this is based on a PS2 game.
I mean, not even that, but also just the NPC. When you play an Atlus game like Persona 5 or Metaphor, you have the main characters and they're so detailed. And then all because there's so many NPCs in the world and they just look, they're so not detailed. You can tell that obviously not as much effort went into those as the main characters. But it's very funny because then you'll see a big crowd and there'll be one character which is really well modeled. Might not come into play now, but you're like, okay, this character's going to have a big part in the story at some point.
It's like when you see, in animation, you might see sort of a crowd of people and they're all just sort of grey blurs and there's one person properly drawn and it's okay, they're going to be important.
So you didn't get to play a lot of this game, but let's hear about Puyo Puyo. Tetris 2 Blobs S, yes. You told us that you got to try the mouse mode, and there's something I'm really excited to hear is that you had a little grip. How was it?
I did, yeah. I'll get it. I should have been prepared. So here it is. Now this is just, it's a piece of plastic. It's nothing exceptional or anything like that. But the idea is that you have obviously this is a Joy-Con 1, but it sits in there and it provides you more sort of grip on the side. And I looked at it and I thought, hey, that would be a nice thing to have and to try out and, not expensive. And I can say it does improve things, which is quite nice. Awesome. It's not perfect, I will say. It's really not perfect. There are some things that I would like to see redesigned in a similar product, but considering the console's not out yet, it's pretty good.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it fit.
Unfortunately, I can't say the same for the mouse controls in Puyo Puyo Tetris 2.
Oh, really? Yeah, so what, I can't see myself wanting to use mouse controls and something like that, but I'm happy to be convinced otherwise, but it doesn't seem like you're going to be the one to convince us either. So,
no,
so what happened?
Well, I must admit, I thought it was going to be you have a mouse cursor and you have sort of you move it along and there's, you have a ghost in the same way that you do when you're using a controller, but you have free movement with the mouse because that's what it's like in the menus and it feels great. But no, there is no cursor. You just sort of move the mouse sort of along an axis and you move enough and you'll move along a chunk.
Okay.
Like you're using a D-pad, but instead of just pressing a button, you have to go like that.
That sounds awful.
It's not good. Unfortunately, it's really not good.
Goodness.
I do get the feeling that it was put there just so that it's an option. And if some people find it better, then more power to them. I just don't know who you are and why you feel
you can can't you go quicker, all the way, since you can just whoop. It can be good for speed efficiency.
I suppose, but then you have what you gain in that you lose in fine movement. It's very difficult to just go across one, or even more so 2 or 3, because you can just sort of one, and you just have to go. Oh no, I've gone too far. I have to go back. And it's very imprecise.
I could see it be a thing, speedrunners or a championships. It's something you have to get good at, but because you have that advantage.
Well, there are some other things. So in order to hold a piece, you press the B button on the mouse. In order to drop, you press down on the stick.
Oh.
Huh. Okay.
So at the same time while you hold B, how does that work?
No. So when I say hold a piece, I mean to put it in reserve.
Okay, I thought you were holding the piece and then you have to sometimes get down and use it.
So to visualize, this would be, I'm fairly certain is B is to put an item in reserve. My window isn't reversed, so it's like I'm not looking in a mirror. And you have to press down from the perspective of the controller, down
Okay.
like that to do a
okay.
hard drop, and it's imprecise. Again, I think it's quite particular. Like if you were to like go like that diagonally, it doesn't like it and it won't do it. And obviously, it's quite an intense game. Sort of when you're getting into the higher levels. Yeah, it doesn't really work.
The Joy-Con is pretty slim, and obviously, like that little adapter that you have, hopefully helps make it feel a bit more stable when when you're playing in mouse mode. But when you're moving around your thumb to do things, I almost worry that you're removing some of the not stability, but I feel like when I'm just kind of moving my Joy-Con around, viewers, try this with us. Let's try this out. Grab a Joy-Con, put it down on a desk or something, and I feel like my Joy-Con wants to like topple over. When you've experienced mouse mode so far, does it feel weird to be using your thumb for stuff? Because I feel like even just switching from B to pressing down on the analog stick and then moving it around just feels wonky. I don't like it. I mean, maybe it'll be different with Switch 2 Joy-Con, but how has that mouse experience been just playing it?
It is noticeably improved with something like this because it's just got a much bigger foot, so it's way more stable, which helps a lot. But I don't know how comfortable it is because I could not bear to use the mouse controls for too long. We even had there were quite a few of us there. We even had a little versus game where all of us, used, and we said, oh yeah, we'll all do mouse mode, mouse controls, and I reached a certain point and I'm just like, I can't do this anymore, and it went back to buttons. I lost to someone using mouse controls, so what do I know?
Hey. Well, so clearly, as Felix said, maybe down the road we'll see an SGDQ event where someone's just crushing with Switch 2 mouse mode controls.
Yeah. I did actually get to play the new mode as well, where you have two people on one frame, for lack of a better term. And so I played Tetris with our colleague Ollie, and we just I was like, oh, we'll try it out, but I didn't think it was going to be anything interesting. Mm-hmm. It's quite interesting. It's because on the one hand you could sort of think, oh, but you could, it's just, you just move your pieces around, and you just fill the slot that makes the most sense. But the thing is that because it's so fast paced, you can have your teammate will go and quickly drop something down, and you drop something down a frame or two later, and it's like, no, I was gonna go there, and you end up with this you end up with incorrect pieces and stuff like that. More so, the pieces themselves, when they're dropping down, are physical to one another, so you can't phase through. So if someone's
really,
if you so Ollie was on the right side of the screen, I was on the left or frame, and I was like, oh, there's a slot over there, and I couldn't.
Wow.
Actually, seems like a really cool gimmick. Even seeing a full game play more around that with 4 players than you have to. That's just really fun. Well, I don't know if it's fun or just annoying in the long run.
Well, I think it's sort of, it would never be something that you would do competitively. It's meant to be kind of party fun. And for that,
sure,
it's pretty damn good. In a way, it sort of feels a bit like a really expanded upon Mario Party minigame. Because it's got that sort of, hey, working together, doing something simple. Oh, but there's something to make it tricky, and you've got to work together, guys. But it ends up working really well. I was really surprised. I didn't have time to test Puyo Puyo with that. But Tetris, genuinely surprised me how good that was.
Yeah, it does sound like a fun, chaotic thing. It reminds me of Overcooked. I feel like you could be, there's potential to be yelling at your partner to move over, and I could see it going off the rails.
Move. And it was just like, Ollie, get out of the way. And he's like, I don't know how. And I'm sure you could learn. You can do a soft drop, so you can have one person, oh, I need to go to the side there, and then you can move over. But I don't know what happens if you try and drop on top of another piece. I don't think it lets you. But I'm not 100% sure about that.
This reminds me of the Tetris DS days, because I remember that game had tons of just weird and wacky modes, and even if all of this doesn't, doesn't have as much like longevity as a normal Puyo Puyo and normal Tetris. Maybe these modes will still have some legs, some life in them.
Yeah, as I say, it's not a competitive thing. It's not going to last, not going to hold your attention forever, but it is good fun. And it is, sort of for all the times they've tried to reinvent Tetris.
Yeah, nice.
I think this is something, it's not going to like take over. This is the only way to play Tetris from now on. But it is genuinely a fun and different way to do it because it is just raw Tetris. Kind of like Tetris 99. It's raw Tetris, but there's something different about it. It's really good. Really enjoyed it.
Good.
Better mouse controls. Or actually, it's fine. You don't need them. Just stick to buttons. But there we have it. That is some more time I had with Switch 2. Don't be too jealous. Let us know what you think about the games in the comments down below. But for now, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you go right over to that subscribe button.
Nice.
That was good.
Nice.
You thought about that in the shower.
Yep.
I didn't. I just thought it right now because I could not think of any other fun
I know,
that was even
Alex.
remotely
No need to rub it in our faces. You're good with words.
And be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.
Do you think the main character of Raito is made of bread because of rye and dough?
It's the only explanation.